Now, if you're looking for a strong female character who defies the odds and overcomes the patriarchy to rise to independence and autonomy and become the driver of her own destiny, in Gertrude, you would be sorely disappointed. Firstly, she says very little in the scene. Her entire line count for the scene is only 10. Not 10 times to speak, 10 times in total. She only speaks 10 lines. You'll be able to see the contrast for yourself when you look at the pages of the script. Hamlet, Claudius, and Horatio, all of the other male characters, they're afforded time to express themselves. Gertrude just is not. The scope of Gertrude's interests are also very one-dimensional. In comparison to her new husband, she doesn't seem very interested in matters of the crown. She doesn't really seem to care about anything that's happening to the kingdom or any threats. Her husband is very much guiding the proceedings of this engagement, but also has a firm rein on the kingdom as a whole. He does not ask for advice from his wife, nor does she offer it. Instead, he makes all the decisions and holds all of the power, which means that Gertrude's actions, or lack thereof in this scene, firmly establishes Elsinore as a patriarchy. We've established that she doesn't really have a voice, but from the 10 lines that she does speak and the information that we gather from her son, our impression of Gertrude is not really a positive one. There is, of course, the opening scenario to be considered. She has just married her dead brother's husband, and very quickly at that. Hamlet, if he can be believed, tells us that his father was but 2 months dead. Nay, not so much, not 2. It's this fact that is absolutely abhorrent to Hamlet, and to modern audiences it may lift a few eyebrows also. While it definitely looks like a harsh decision and one that has ramifications for her son that she doesn't seem to understand or even care to, when considered relatively and from the perspective of the time, that's really the only way that a woman had to maintain her status. They were locked to the destiny of men. Her introductory statement is directed at her son, and while we could say that it's a lovely sentiment that she's thinking about his well-being, it's the manner in which she does this that really affects her presentation. Her opening lines and her main contribution to the scene are the following.
Good Hamlet, cast thy nighted colour off, and let thine eye look like a friend on Denmark. Do not forever with thy lowered lids seek for thy noble father in the dust. Thou know'st 'tis come. All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity.
In other words, what she says is, Hamlet, stop being sad, get along with your stepfather, don't be hung up on the memory of your dead father, and come to terms with the fact that people die. Now, this is far from stereotypical maternal care. Again, we can only speculate. It's possible that she is encouraging Hamlet in this way for his own benefit, prompting him to fall into line for his own safety and maybe for the stability and security of the kingdom at large. But again, we just don't fully know, because we're never given the opportunity to understand what happened between the time of the death of her first husband and her remarriage, so that we can understand her motivations. Instead, her words appear abrasive and uncaring. Without those key details as to Gertrude's motivations, we're left in a similar situation to Hamlet. A wonderful stroke of writing and creation of tension and conflict by Shakespeare. We're more suspicious at this point maybe even than Hamlet, because as an audience we've just experienced the ghostly apparition. We're on edge already. We fail to empathise with her also, and we never really question anything about her true intentions and motivations. Instead, we simply experience her as a callous woman, as described by Hamlet in his soliloquy, and through her support for the new king, who was in fact her brother. At the time of writing and before that, the relationship between brother-in-law and sister-in-law was as strong and actual as the bond between biological siblings. So Gertrude would have lost all moral authority in the eyes of even the Elizabethan audience. Maybe even more so than modern audiences. On top of this, Hamlet assists in her establishment as a morally corrupt character through the words that he speaks. What's clever about her minimal involvement is the ambiguity around her character and her role in the play that it generates in the audience. We don't know if she's a dark actor in the background, guiding the men of the play, and involved maybe in the murder of her husband to raise up her lover to the seat of ultimate power in Denmark. It's almost possible to consider her some form of maybe proto-femme fatale, as her story is revealed through other characters' eyes, like those that we see in the noir classics of old filmmaking. In those movies, this feminine archetype tries to achieve their goals by using their femininity and oftentimes their sexual allure to bring about conclusions that are in their favour. Now that's a stretch, but that's the point. When it comes to Gertrude, we have to stretch and presume, as does Hamlet, and we must at this point remain suspicious of her, as he does. Gertrude's remarriage, whatever her motivations, is responsible for Hamlet's early angst-riddled frame of mind, because you have to remember that up to this point, Hamlet knows nothing about his father's murder or the appearance of the ghost, and hasn't experienced any of the other betrayals that the play has yet to inflict upon him. She's pretty much the sole cause of concern and the sole cause of depression within him at this point.
Even she. Oh God, a beast that once discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, she married. Oh, most wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets.
Almost wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. He certainly does not hold back when he's speaking about his mother. This line from late in his first soliloquy perfectly sums up the moral sentence that he has placed on his mother, and it's that will drive further suspicions within the audience and within him as the play progresses. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks a million for choosing to spend your time with me, and as always, we hope you've learned something new from Eduguru. If you haven't done so already, please consider checking out our other videos in the series. And if you could see it in your heart to like, subscribe and comment, all that stuff really helps us out, so we'd be very grateful. We'll see you soon for the next video in the series. Until then, look after yourselves.